In this video, we're going to complete the KutaSoftware Infinite PreAlgebra free worksheet evaluating variable expressions. Now, our instructions for this worksheet are to evaluate each using the values given. So in number 1, our expression is n squared minus m. And we're given that m is equal to 7 and n is equal to 8. So what we'll do, everywhere we see m in our expression, we're going to plug in the number value for m. So m is 7, so 7 will get plugged in for m. And n is 8, so 8 will get plugged in for n. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So again, 7 is going to go in for m, and 8 is going to go in for n. So when we write this, I'll have 8 squared minus 7. Now, order of operations still applies, so I do exponents before subtraction. 8 squared gives us 64, so we'll have 64 minus 7, which is equal to 57. So 57 is our solution in number 1. Let's continue on to number 2. In number 2, our expression is 8 times x minus y. They give us that x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 2. So what are we going to do? Everywhere we see an x, we're going to plug in 5 for x since x is 5. And our variable y, we're going to plug in a 2 everywhere there's a y. So rewriting this, filling in x and y, I'll get 8 times x, which is 5, minus y, which is 2. So order of operations matters, parentheses, so I'll do that first. 5 minus 2 gives us 3, so I'll have 8 times 3. 8 times 3 is equal to 24. So 24 is my solution in number 2. In number 3, we have y times x divided by 2, and we're going to use x equal to 7 and y equal to 2. So again, what we're going to do is everywhere we see an x, we're going to plug in 7 because x equals 7. So we're going to take this 7 and plug it in for x. We also have that y equals 2. So everywhere we see a y, we're going to plug in 2. Take that 2 and plug it in for y because that's what each of those variables equals. So we'll have 2 times 7 divided by 2. Remember, order of operations, we're going to go left from right because all we have left is multiplication and division. 2 times 7, that's going to give us 14, and we'll divide 14 by 2. 14 divided by 2 equals 7. So 7 is our solution in number 3. In number 4, our variables are m and n. In this, we have that m equals 5, and I only have one m in my expression, and we have that n equals 8, and I have one n in my expression. So my total expression is m minus n divided by 4. I know m is 5, so I'll plug that in. So I'll have 5 minus, I know n is 8, so I'll plug that in, 5 minus 8, and then I still have dividing by 4. What comes first, subtraction or division? Division. So I'll do 8 divided by 4. 5 minus, well, 8 divided by 4 is 2. 5 minus 2 will give me 3. So 3 will be my solution in number 4. Now on to number 5. I have x is 6, and there's only one x, and I have that y is 1, and there's a y. So again, plugging 6 in for x, I'll get 6 minus, now plugging 1 in for y, that'll be 6 minus 1, and then I still have to add 6. Now addition and subtraction, remember, come at the same time, and we need to work left to right. So I have to start with 6 minus 1. 6 minus 1 is 5, and then I'll add 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. 11 is my solution in number 5. And again, if you're confused on why I did subtraction before addition, check out my order of operations worksheet or check out my order of operations lesson video. Now, let's go on to number 6. In number 6, my variables are z and x. My expression is z plus x cubed, but I'm given that x equals 1 and z equals 19. So every time I see x, I'll plug 1 in and I'll plug 19 in where I have my z. So I get 19 plus 1 cubed. What's that going to be? Well, according to my order of operations, I do parentheses and then I look at exponents. So I'm going to do 1 cubed before I add. 1 cubed is equal to 1, so I'll have 19 plus 1. And if you're confused on exponents, 1 cubed is 1 times 1 times 1. 1 multiplied by itself, so that I have a total of 3 of those 1s being multiplied together. So 19 plus 1, that's going to give me 20. 20 is my solution in number 6. Now for number 7, I have as my expression y plus yx. So everywhere I see x, I'll plug in 15, and y, I'll plug in 8. 15 goes in for x, and I don't just have one y, I actually have 2 y's. But remember, y is equal to 8. So plugging in 8 for y, I get 8 plus, plugging in 8 for y again, 8 times plugging in 15 for x. What comes first? Addition or multiplication? That's going to be multiplication. So 8 times 15, if you need to see that vertically, that's going to be 5 times 8 is 40, carry the 4, 1 times 8 is 8, plus 4 is 12, so 120. 8 times 15 is 120, and I'll be adding that to 8. 8 plus 120 is 128. 128 is my solution in number 7. Now in number 8, I have q divided by 6 plus p. So q is a variable and p is a variable, but both my variables are defined, so I'll be able to plug numbers in for them. Everywhere I see a q, I'll plug in 12, and everywhere I see a p, I'll plug in 10. So I'll have 12 divided by 6 plus 10. 12 divided by 6 plus 10. Division comes first, ahead of addition, so 12 divided by 6 is 2, and I'll have 2 plus 10, which equals 12. 12 is my solution in number 8. Now in number 9, my variables are x and y. So x is 20 and y is 17. Plugging in 20 for x and 17 in for y. That will be 20 plus 8 minus 17. Now working left to right, because all I have as operations goes is addition and subtraction. I'll do 20 plus 8 to get 28, and then I'll subtract 17. 28 minus 17 is going to be 11. 11 is my solution in number 9. In number 10, 15 minus m plus p, where m is 3 and p is 10. So m equals 3 and p equals 10. I'll get 15 minus m, which is 3, plus p, which is 10. Now because I have parentheses, that's going to come first. 3 plus 10. So I'll get 15 minus 3 plus 10, which is 13. And 15 minus 13 equals 2. 2 is my solution in number 10. In number 11, I have 10 minus x plus y divided by 2. So x is 5 and y is 2. Let's go ahead and plug those in. 10 minus x, which is 5. So 10 minus 5 plus y, which is 2, divided by 2. Now, order of operations, division happens before subtraction and addition. So 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, 10 minus 5 plus 1. Now I work left to right because all I have left is subtraction and addition. 10 minus 5 is 5, and I'll add that to 1. 5 plus 1, that's going to be equal to 6. 6 is my solution in number 11. Now onto the last problem for this page, number 12. I have p minus 2 plus q times p. So I have p 2 times, but that's okay. It's a variable that has a value of 7. So everywhere I see p, I'll plug in 7, and q occurs only once in my problem, so I'll just plug in 4 once. So rewriting my expression, filling in what I know, p is 7, so I'll have 7 minus 2 plus q is 4, so it'll be 4 times p, which p is 7. 7 minus 2 plus 4 times 7. Order of operations said multiplication comes first in this expression. So 4 times 7 is going to give me 28. Then I'll have 7 minus 2 plus 28. And again, by order of operations, with just subtraction and addition, I'm working left to right. So 7 minus 2 gives me 5, and I'll add that to 28 to get 33. So 33 is my solution in number 12. Let's continue on to the next page. In number 13, our variables for our expression zy plus 4y are z and y. So we know that y is 5 and z is 2, so we'll easily be able to compute. We'll go ahead and plug 2 in for z, and we'll plug 5 in for both of our y's. So plugging z in for 2, we'll get 2 times, plugging 5 in for y, that'll be 2 times 5 plus 4 times, again, plugging in 5. Now remember, order of operations matters, so we need to do multiplication first. 2 times 5 is 10, so I'll have 10 plus 4 times 5. And again, multiplication first, 4 times 5 is going to be 20. So I'll have 10 plus 20, which equals 30. So 30 is my solution in number 13. Let's continue on to 14. 14, my expression is b times a plus b plus a. So everywhere I see an a, I'm plugging in 9. And everywhere I see a b, I'm going to be plugging in 4. So b is 4 times a, which is 9, plus b, which is 4, plus a, which is 9. Now, order of operations says parentheses comes first. So 9 plus 4 is 13. So I'll have 4 times 13 plus 9. Now, multiplication's next. 4 times 13, that's going to give me 52. So 52 plus 9 will give me 61. So 61 is my solution in number 14. And quickly, if you need to see this vertically, 13 times 4, keeping our ones placed in line, 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1, 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 52 plus 9, 61. Now for number 15, we have p squared divided by 4 minus m. That's our expression. And we're going to use the fact that our variable m equals 3 and p equals 4 to solve or simplify our expression. So I'm going to have p squared, which is 4 squared, divided by 4 minus m, which is 3. Now, exponents comes first, so 4 squared is like 4 times 4. So that's going to be 16. But I'm going to be dividing that by 4 and then subtracting 3 because division's next. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Subtracting 3 will give me 1. 1 is my solution in number 15. In number 16, I have x times y divided by 3 squared. Plugging in 4 for x and plugging in 9 for y, I'll get 4 times 9 divided by 3 squared. Now, what comes first? Parentheses. So I'm going to evaluate what's inside my parentheses before I square it. So I'll get 4 times 9 divided by 3 is 3. And remember, that quantity is squared. So next, exponents come before multiplication. So 3 squared is 9. So I'll get 4 times 9, which equals 36. 36 is my answer, number 16. And if you're curious how I calculated 36 so quickly, check out my really neat math video where I show you a multiply by 9 finger trick so that you'll quickly be able to multiply by 9. Check it out, it's pretty neat. I'll leave a link in that description below. But for now, let's keep chugging along. Number 17. Number 17, it says that 4 plus m plus n minus m is our expression. And we're going to use the fact that m is equivalent to 4 and n is equal to 9. So m is 4 and n is 9. So I'll have 4 plus 4 plus 9 minus 4. Now working left to right because all I have is addition and subtraction. 4 plus 4 will give me 8, and I'll add that to 9 and then subtract 4. 8 plus 9 is 17, and then I'll subtract 4. 17 minus 4 is going to be 13. So 13 is my solution for number 17. And number 18, I have q times p plus q minus p as my expression. I'm going to plug in 7 for p, and I'm going to be plugging in 3 for q. So we'll get 3 times 7 plus 3 minus 7. We're going to do our multiplication first. 3 times 7 is 21. And then I'll add 3 and then subtract, working left to right. 21 plus 3 is 24, and 24 minus 7 is going to be 17. So 17 is my solution in number 18. Now for number 19, my expression is m times n divided by 6 plus 10. M is 7 and n is 6. So m, 7 times n, 6, divided by 6 plus 10. I'll start. Remember, multiplication and division occur at the same time within order of operations, except I work left to right. So I'll start with 7 times 6, which 7 times 6 is 42. And then I need to divide that by 6 and add 10. So division comes next. 42 divided by 6 is 7. Adding 10 to that, 7 plus 10 equals 17. 17 is my solution in number 19. In number 20, I have h plus j times j minus h. H is equivalent to the value 2, and j is equivalent to the number 6. So h is 2 plus j, which is 6, times j, which is 6, minus 2, which is h. 6 minus 2, I'm starting with my parentheses, that's going to be 4. So I'll have 2 plus 6 times 4. Now I'll do multiplication, because multiplication comes before addition in my order of operations. 6 times 4 is 24, and I'll add that with 2 to get 26. 26 is my solution in number 20. Now on to number 21, and by now we should be fairly comfortable with figuring out what goes where and what to plug in, so I'm not going to highlight this time, but remember to follow along. We have b minus 1 squared, and b is 1. So I have 1 minus 1 squared But that's not my whole expression because I have to add a squared, and a is 6. So plus 6 squared. Now parentheses comes first, so 1 minus 1 is 0. But remember, the stuff in my parentheses was squared. So I'll have 0 squared plus 6 squared. And 0 squared is equal to 0 because 0 squared is 0 times 0, which equals 0. So I'll just have to do 6 squared. So I'll have 0 plus 6 squared, which 6 squared is 6 times 6, which equals 36. 0 plus 36 equals 36. So 36 is my solution in number 21. Now for number 22, we have a lot more parentheses than we're probably used to seeing. So let's talk through it. Here's our expression. X equals 4 and y equals 2. That's what we're going to be using. So we'll put 2 for y, 4 for x, and we'll have 9 minus 4 times y, which is times 2, and then we'll close off our parentheses. So when we have parentheses within parentheses, well, let's ask ourselves, in order of operation, what comes first? Parentheses. So we're going to be looking at this. But remember, order of operations applies within parentheses. So within parentheses, we're going to do parentheses first. So we're going to actually be looking at this. 9 minus 4 times 2. And again, within parentheses, order of operations still applies. So 4 times 2 will happen first. So I'll have 2 times 4 minus 9 minus 4 times 2 is 8. Now again, order of operations, I'm looking at parentheses, but within my parentheses, what comes first? Parentheses. So I'm going to do 9 minus 8 next. So I'll have 2 times 4 minus 9 minus 8 is 1. Now, finally, my parentheses, 4 minus 1, that's going to give me 3. And 2 times 3, scrolling down, 2 times 3 equals 6. So 6 is my solution in number 22. Moving on to number 23, we have multiple parentheses again, so let's stick together. We have x minus x minus x minus y cubed. So let's go ahead and plug in our values for x and y. X is 9, so I'll have 9 minus 9 minus 9 minus y, which is 1, cubed. Now remember, according to order of operations, parentheses comes first. So our first set of parentheses is here. This one opens and this one closes that first set of parentheses. But I have another set of parentheses inside of that. So I'm going to do this set of parentheses first. And within that set of parentheses, I have an exponent. So I'll do my exponent before my subtraction. So writing this, we'll have 9 minus 9 minus 9 minus 1 cubed is 1 times 1 times 1. That's going to be 1. So now, going back to my order of operations, I have parentheses, but I have parentheses within that. So I'm going to do 9 minus 1. So I have 9 minus 9 minus 9 minus 1 is 8. So now, order of operations looks pretty easy from here on out because I just have one set of parentheses, so I'll do that next. 9 minus 8 is 1, so I have 9 minus 1, which equals 8. 8 is my solution in number 23. And lastly, in this video, number 24, I have the expression j times h minus 9 cubed plus 2. And lots of times, especially if I'm stating a problem to somebody, if you just say j times h minus 9 cubed plus 2, it sounds like this, right? But it's not. So I like to say whenever I have parentheses, I say j times the quantity, so they know that I have some quantity, so I'll say j times the quantity h minus 9 cubed. So j times the quantity h minus 9, where the quantity is cubed, plus 2. So when I say so sometimes you might hear me say j times the quantity h minus 9 cubed plus 2. That's just to separate and show that parentheses are included. You wouldn't say j parenthesis h minus 9 parenthesis cubed plus 2. That's not the way we usually say things when talking about them in English. So I like to say j times the quantity, whereas the quantity represents what's enclosed within those parentheses. So feel free to use that as a reference in the future. But for now, let's do our problem. My j is 8 and my h is 9. So I'll have 8 times the quantity, 9 minus 9 cubed plus 2. 9 minus 9 is 0, so I'll have 8 times 0 cubed plus 2. Exponents come next. 0 cubed is 0 times 0 times 0, which is 0. So I'll have 8 times 0 plus 2. Next is multiplication. 8 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 equals 2. So 2 is my solution in number 24. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I or one of your peers will get back to you as soon as we can. Also, if you want more ways to support me, check out my Patreon link in the description below and figure out how you can pledge and become a patron. But your biggest support, as always, is to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks again!